Nerd News Now. Hello, welcome to Nerd News Now. I am Mark, your host. We got Miss Jen, Brainy, and Kyle. Thanks, guys, for being with me the Monday after the Oscars. Who tuned in? Who watched the Oscars? I got a note from Kyle. Brainy, did you watch it?
No, I
Miss Jen,
watched
did you watch it?
I watched my friend who went to the Oscars, his pictures.
Who was that?
Oh my gosh. I have to go back and look at my feed. It was someone that I don't know well, that
Oh, okay.
somehow I follow in the industry, that had pictures of him in his tuxedo and him on the whatever. But it was really cool to kind of see that. But I have no idea what went on.
Oh, okay.
I watched the Independent Spirit Awards, which is like indie films Oscars.
Right. Now, they probably had some crossovers, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm looking at, let's see, Best Picture was a crossover. Best Actress was a cross. Best Supporting Actress was the same. Best Director was the same. You know, a lot of these are the same.
So you're saying that the indies were winning this year?
Well, the thing about it is that any more indie films are the films that the big stars go so that they can win an Oscar.
Yeah.
You know, it's not every actor is Frances McDormand, who's only doing indie movies these days because she can.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these guys are going to do these indie movies because they're the art house. They're the things that get noticed for Oscar nominations. So
they're no dummies.
Well, and typically, not to say that they have better scripts with independents, but I would say that like there's more of a chance to make a film rather than have a film made.
Right.
Mm.
Skybound Games has a great game about this, actually. And I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of like Super Fight, where it's you draw cards and you kind of build a character. But in this, it's you draw cards and kind of build a movie. But then your friends play the studio, and from the cards in their hand, they have to like ask you to do things like studios ask people to put in movies. Like, so you have a romantic comedy with Jake Gyllenhaal and Reese Witherspoon. Great. And you're pitching your movie based on the cards in your hand, and then they'll play a card. Can you add a ninja to it?
Yeah. On there.
Ninjas are hot right now. Can you add ninjas to it? How about a kaiju? Do you think you could fit Godzilla into this movie somehow?
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of stuff that happens at these big studios, but independent movies just get made.
Right.
And I honestly, there was a lot of backlash today about, people who won things. And I didn't see The Father, but I did see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I don't think Chadwick Boseman was even the best actor in that category from an independent film. I don't think he was the best actor in that movie. The guy who won for supporting cast, the guy who was nominated for supporting cast
Are you talking about for the Oscars, Daniel Kaluuya? For Judas?
At the Independent for Spirit Awards.
Oh, okay.
Because Ma Rainey's Black Bottom won a bunch of awards there.
Yeah.
But the guy who won Best Supporting Actor was the other kind of co-lead in that movie that wasn't Viola Davis. I think he was better in that movie. So I think the thing people forget about the Oscars is that it's fundraising, right? Mm-hmm. This is the way these studios use to get people to give them monies to make more movies. It's not really about who's best or what's best. It's just about, marketing. And Nomadland was definitely, if not the best movie of the year, the top two, I think. And Sound of Metal was up there too. So
I tend to look at it as a sort of checklist for films that people should see for the most part. I mean, there's always some on there where they get like 10 or 12 nominations, and you're like, why? But I would say like Sound of Metal is a great example of that. You have like Riz Ahmed nominated for Best Actor, and then Minari I think is another example of that. In years past, you would never heard of Minari, and probably would not have heard of Sound of Metal, like maybe 5 years ago. So
well, what's wild is, and I just set my phone down and I don't know where it went, because that's where I had my notes about the movies. But there were a number of movies nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars that were made for less than $500,000.
yeah,
Like that's there was a time where that wasn't even thought of. You know, you got James Cameron spending a bajillion dollars on his movies, and he can't get a sniff. But Nomadland cost like $125,000.
yeah. I think that's part of it though, because if a movie's affordable to make, you can just go make it, and you don't have to worry about Hollywood or the studios interfering. So it's sort of like an indie comic. You can just print it, just print print like a small print run, and scrape it together and then see what happens. So it's sort of like that from that aspect. If it's more difficult to write on a limited basis, but you can also focus on character development, and character development is typically what pushes these movies to this point in award season and through award season. So, I mean, that formula kind of adds up, and also equipment doesn't cost what it used to, and a lot of people don't shoot on film anymore. So, I mean,
Yep.
that the costs are just. Go ahead.
Yep.
No,
There's
I
you
know
need
I know tons of movies that are getting made being shot on an iPhone.
Oh yeah.
mm-hmm.
I can shoot 4K on my iPhone. Like, why would I go out and buy a 4K camera? You know, it doesn't make any sense to do that anymore. So
You still need more functionality than just that, but I do agree with you. You can do a lot of stuff with your phones. You do
with
need more
the
functionality.
apps and stuff that are available now, I mean, there are apps that'll let you do, that you couldn't do on earlier generations iPhones.
Stillman does a great job.
Mm-hmm. So I will say there was one thing I was hoping would win something, and it didn't, and that's fine, I guess. But I was really hoping that the Trial of the Chicago 7 would win something because it was Aaron Sorkin's directorial debut.
I knew you were gonna say that because of Aaron Sorkin. Um, it was one thing that people had a lot of complaints about, and there were many complaints, but also I think complaints are louder now with Twitter, right? Because they said something like the initial ratings were down like 57%. I think a lot of that has to do with people just didn't keep up with movies this last year or last year and a half. That is a lot to do with it. Um, Second, they might have maybe tuned in for a second and been like, "Well, this isn't normal," because it was a small room with just the Hollywood elite basically in there. And third, they just might have had other stuff to do rather than watch the Oscars. It's typically there's a lot more build up and kind of like streamlined build up to it usually. But one of the several big complaints was they didn't show a lot of clips, but they did show at the end. They showed a clip of Sacha Baron Cohen as his character from Trial of the Seven, and what a difference from not just Borat, obviously, but other stuff that he's done. So that movie looks intriguing to me, as most of the films do. So this will be the year. I usually try to just put everything to the side and watch all the movies before the awards. Now I'm just going to start with the checklist of the winners and kind of go from there to try to catch up.
Um, I
So
would say add to your list and maybe jump it to the top because I don't know how long it'll be free on Prime. One Night in Miami.
okay,
I don't know that it won any Oscars. It won some Independent Spirit Awards. Um, but it is a phenomenal movie. And the guy who plays Jim Brown, who I first saw on Leverage, but he was on a bunch of other stuff too, is really good in it. And it's Regina King's directorial debut, and it's really cool. Uh, 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 uh,
and the
Aaron
writer
Burr Hamilton.
first too. Go ahead.
The guy who played Burr in Hamilton? I can't think of his name.
Brainy will get it.
Plays Sam Cooke. Leslie Odom Jr.
Oh yes, he was nominated for
Mm-hmm.
support.
But
I believe that movie did get shut out. Now in that category, it was Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, and that's another one where it's like I was going to watch that right away, and I just didn't. I just haven't slowed down to watch a movie in a while, so I got a lot of catching up to do with that. And then they another thing was they didn't have best film last. They had it like third to last, and I think their intention was if Chadwick Boseman wins, we have to end the show on this. So they kind of flip flop those categories. So for the final, like, pre-credit roll, they're like, and the winner is Anthony Hopkins. He can't accept it, but we accept it on his behalf. Good night, everybody. And so it's kind of like that. Now he did. They had a rule, which I found out about later, that no one could Skype in with their acceptance speech. So he did provide a video this morning and did pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, you know, while accepting the Oscar for Best Actor for The Father. So there was just a lot like that happened. There was no clips. The in memoriam was kind of fast and choppy. They no musical performances, so it just wasn't what it normally is. But I mean, I guess why not experiment with what is not normal in a year like this, and then maybe next year they'll go back to the tried and true formula.
I mean, I think you're right. I think people didn't pay attention to movies last year.
Yeah,
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Amazon Prime had most of those movies on there for free, for a limited time or for like $1 to rent, I wouldn't have seen any of them. It was, it was a weird year. And I used to be that guy who would find the art house screening of these movies. Oh, it's airing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Well, I'm going to see a movie.
yeah.
And last year, I'm like,
I think we've all gotten into the mentality of let's just binge watch. We don't have to watch anything live anymore. I'm sure that has a lot to do with the ratings going on down 57%. That's a huge drop. But a lot of us are like, hey, we'll get the highlights on the internet and we'll know exactly what happened, and it's just gone with our day to day.
not that we're going to talk about it, but there was a big wrestling pay-per-view that they were up against last night. And, there was some other stuff happening last night. The Sunday night baseball game was a really good matchup. It wound up going 11 innings. There was just stuff like that, other alternatives for people.
Mhm.
And I think if this year has taught us anything, it's that people are transitioning to the alternatives. They're not watching. It's not like we just have the 3 channels, and if the president's on, your night's ruined anymore, like it was in the old days. It's you've got tons of people looking for content, and there's tons of content out there.
And
So
it's not limited to just
let's
television.
talk about a bunch of movies I've not seen
Mhm.
when I can go watch, reruns of The Big Bang Theory. I mean, my family last night watched reruns of Longmire. Like, my parents are obsessed with it, and now I'm hooked on it. Like, but that was as enjoyable of an evening as it would have been if I'd have watched the Oscars.
I mean, you also have the option of watching a cat climb a curtain for a half hour on YouTube if you really want to, as opposed to So the categories have expanded on how we entertain ourselves. It's not just limited to television and movies anymore. Well, not in the traditional sense, at least.
I will say this: the Independent Spirit Awards this year added 3 new categories, or 4 new categories. I forget exactly how many. For independent television, which is a thing that didn't exist 2 years ago. But it shows like I May Destroy You and things like that are on HBO Max or they're on a streaming service that are made for, guerrilla style for no money. They're getting recognized by an award show now. And those things may not have gotten recognized in the past because they wouldn't have had a platform.
So what you're saying is Nerd News Now could be in a category next year.
We would need someone to significantly up the budget.
Hey, I like our budget. Hey, okay, you know what? Tell you what, I'll double our budget. How's that?
Well, I mean, we'd have to get at least enough in the budget to get Mark Felix the cat clock back.
Yeah.
And maybe provide me with a hat to wear so people don't have to look at the sheen coming off my skull. Those kind of things.
Mark, I'll give you the $2 for the battery for the Felix.
All right.
Felix back.
Yeah, I can bring it back. It's no problem. I just it was making you guys uncomfortable because it was like time wasn't passing, which might be the feeling that a lot of people have watching this right now. But yeah,
Time is an irrelevant construct.
time,
Time is irrelevant.
Time is a construct. The other thing is now that and I know the numbers aren't as high as we would probably like, but now that more and more people have been vaccinated and it's like, woo, go do stuff with your families and friends. We're going to be a lot less likely over the next year, I think, to want to sit inside and watch something for 4 hours. So
I disagree.
Okay.
Well, I'm just that the idea of going to the movies with my friends is one of the things that I'm most looking forward to. I don't know that I'll rush back to movies. It's a buddy of mine posted some of the numbers from California, and he's like, "So what's everybody's feeling about people going to the movies?" And that kind of thing. And I don't think I'll rush back to it. But the idea or get my buddies together and going out and having dinner and going to see a new Marvel movie, even though I know I'll hate it, is like super exciting to me.
Oh no, I was talking more about watching something on TV, in your den for a year. Especially here in Texas, it was probably not dark until like 8:40 or something like that. So, yeah, people are going to be outside. But oh no, I totally agree with you. I think a lot of people agree on the movie thing, Kyle, because box office. Moving on from the Oscars, transitioning to box office.
Well, I had one thought on the
money.
Oscars.
Go ahead.
Who hosted?
There was not a host. It was introduced by Regina King, and then past that, there wasn't really a host.
See, I think that's the thing is that you need good hosting on these award shows.
Well, that was one of like the main 5 complaints was
Right. It's why Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are so good on the Emmys.
Yeah.
The Independent Spirit Awards had Melissa Villaseñor from SNL, and it didn't have a host because it was just her coming out doing different impressions of different celebrities. So at one point, it's Owen Wilson, introducing, Frances McDormand as Best Actress, like, and it's all Melissa Villaseñor just doing, impressions. It was good. It was very funny. She does a Kristen Wiig impression that you'd think was Kristen Wiig if you watched. And I think that's the key, is having good hosting. We need to get back to the days where Billy Crystal would come out and do a musical number and then win for City Slickers.
I think those days
Yeah.
are gone.
By the way, I'm far too young to actually get that reference.
Watch City Slickers.
The reference that you made?
Yes.
Or okay.
I get it, but I shouldn't.
I think my favorite thing ever that ever happened in an awards show is the MTV Movie Awards when Justin Timberlake and I'm not gonna be able to come up with the other fellow's name did the Matrix 2 like
Jimmy
whole
Fallon.
show right in the middle. Oh my gosh, look it up! It's so good.
It wasn't when Howard Stern came on and showed everyone his butt?
No. Mm-mm.
Wow, you had to bring that one up, huh?
So a reference that I'm too young to actually make.
What, Howard Stern? Yeah, probably.
That was Fart Man, right?
Yep.
But what were your thoughts on City Slickers 2, Legend of Curly's Gold?
There was a second one of those movies? No, I have cable. I know what City Slickers 2 is.
Yeah.
It used to be on TNT every day.
Oh my.
Any other thoughts to wrap up the Oscars?
No, that was my last thing, is I think hosting matters. It's why Patrick Harris is so good at the Tonys.
Oh, sure.
Those kind of things.
Yeah, I think they gotta get back to that. I think they had a few, false starts with, like, they were naming hosts, and then people were like, you can't have them host because this happened, in the past or whatever, and trying to find just the right person to kind of bring the room together. And I think they just need to go for it. I mean, whatever they need to do, they need to have like a national poll or what, but they can figure out some host that everyone can agree on, I think, or most people.
I have the solution.
Ooh.
Ryan Reynolds started it. The host for everything, LeVar Burton.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds hired him to be the spokesperson for the bourbon, or for the Bullet Gin Company.
Yeah.
Or Aviation Gin, or whatever it's called. He wants to be the host of Jeopardy. And so Ryan Reynolds starting to hear LeVar Burton for everything.
And he is getting his shot on Jeopardy finally. He was named one of the final guest hosts. So
my question.
I signed that petition.
My question was, did LeVar want to do Jeopardy?
yeah,
Forced into that.
he did. Yes, he did. I mean, he
was campaigning really hard for it.
Yeah. He didn't start the petition, but I think there's, if you went back, there's probably a tweet like, I'm not going to start my own petition, but I might sign it. Like, so, but regardless, he needs to do it. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But as far as people getting back to the movies, they did this weekend, and a movie that a lot of people have never heard of, or an entity that a lot of people have never heard of, was Second. And not to skip over Mortal Kombat, we'll get back to that in a second. But does anyone know what the second highest grossing movie in America was this weekend?
Was it people sleeping through Mortal Kombat?
No, that was the first.
Okay.
That was the first highest grossing. What was number 2?
I don't know what else there was this weekend.
It was Demon Slayer the movie. Now this movie
Oh, okay.
has already become the highest grossing movie ever in Japan. So it comes over here week 1 during a pandemic. Like I said, most people have never heard of it. It makes 19.5 million, which already pushes up the worldwide total past 400 million. Extra impressive considering 1, it's an anime, and 2, it's rated R.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
so
saw some kids.
you're gonna hear about this movie probably for the next 5 weeks or so, because I think this is the beginning of people knowing what it is. Go ahead. What?
There were some kids at the movie theater on when we went to go see Mortal Kombat that
Uh-huh.
they were just kind of like hanging outside the doors, and you could tell they were like trying to egg each other on to stuff. There was like a group of 4 boys and 4 girls. Then the boys came in and kind of like muddled around in the lobby for a little while, and then they went over to the kiosk and doodle-doots on it for a little while, and then they kind of like avoided being anywhere near the ticket counter and went over to go and like try to go into the movie theater. And the guy that was taking the tickets was like, "Yeah, good try."
They're trying to sneak in there. The impressive thing about it was in half the screens as Mortal Kombat and almost made the same money. So it averaged 12,000 a screen. Took in 19.5. Now Mortal Kombat brought in 22.5 million, even though it's on HBO Max, and even though it's not getting good reviews. I don't think there's one good review of this. They always say, "Oh, it's getting mixed reviews." Is anyone giving it a good review?
It was awesome. Shut
For
the
real? Wait,
So
for
just Jen.
real? So you're the reason it's mixed reviews because there was
Yeah.
one good review. Okay.
Just
What
me.
is so? Give me 5 things to like about it.
It's Mortal
Uh,
Kombat.
brutal deaths. The finishing move were all there. I don't know. I thought it was exactly what I signed up for. I signed up for a movie that was based on a video game that's no longer relevant, and people moved on from up forever.
Mortal Kombat's still relevant. Yeah, we still play the game.
Yeah. You can get Rambo in Mortal Kombat, so it's still relevant.
Yep.
from a pop.
I'm sure they still
like
have
number
a
11.
cabinet in Pizza Hut somewhere.
But seriously, who goes to go watch Mortal Kombat for a story? I mean, you're going there to watch action, and that's what you go for. And from
But
what I hear, I haven't watched it yet.
But is
I
it good?
watched it on HBO. I put it on HBO,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even that impressed with the action. The finishing moves were great. The rest of it was a little, I didn't find the rest of the action to be that good.
Can anyone think of just off the top of your head? Can anyone think of a better action movie in the last let's go 15 years than the Raid 2 Redemption? The Raid 2?
Never saw it.
Never
No.
saw Raid 2.
You-
So.
What? I've never seen the Raid 2?
Nope.
We lost Mark now. He quits.
Sorry, guys.
Well, do yourself a favor, check out the Raid and the Raid 2, and then try to find a better action movie.
Okay.
Ever.
Avengers.
Seriously, it's and then if you want, I don't know, I just like, and I was watching back in like 2005, I was watching stuff like Ong Bak, where Tony Jaa's like doing kicks off elephants and stuff. So it takes a lot. Like you can't just say, "Oh, Mortal Kombat's there for the action," because the first Mortal Kombat did not look good. And watching the trailer for this new one, it looked like the first one. It looked like there was no advancements in either acting or effects. But I'll hit play tonight and just watch it in the background and see if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I gotta watch it as well.
I just don't, you know.
I gotta watch the other TV show first. So everybody spoiled the ending already for me.
No, I'm so sorry, Brainy.
It was hard to avoid, you know.
The Mortal Kombat TV show? What show?
No, Falcon and Sorry,
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I haven't gotten to it yet either.
Yeah,
okay.
I was planning on doing it this weekend, but the second shot kind of took me in yesterday. Actually, I think it was more of me not taking it easy on Saturday. But yeah, anyway, that's a different story.
Understandable though, because there's like we said, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think the main takeaway from that was probably spoiled by the internet and Marvel, and,
Yep.
and so, but also you probably knew that was going to happen too, right? So, I mean, anyone that's seen a comic book cover in the last 5 years.
I
Sorry,
I was the most happy.
Brainy's hacked.
well, let's put it this way: my laptop's running out of battery. I'm like, why? It just wasn't plugged in.
Wasn't plugged in.
Oh,
So I cried only 2 times during that episode. So bring your hanky.
is there a way to say what 2 times without spoiling everything? No.
Here, I'll just turn my speakers down.
Nope.
yeah. Here, I'll turn my speakers down. Just let me
Too
know.
soon. I wouldn't talk about it yet. It's still too soon to believe that no one had to work this weekend and everyone's got to see it. So I'm not going to talk about what those things were. But
If you were to say something like statue, would that have anything to do with one of the emotional scenes?
mm, not
Kind.
for me.
Okay.
It's yeah. There's
We can push it back. There's plenty of other stuff to
push it
talk
back.
about. Y'all can try to watch it in the next week, and we'll talk about it. But obviously, there was the announcement of, and we don't have to say even what the storyline would be because they don't even know. There is the announcement of off of the end of that, Captain America 4 will be coming to theaters. So I don't think that is really a big surprise to anyone either, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said,
No.
those of us that have read the comic book will know exactly what's going on anyway. So
Yeah. Um, and even if you saw the end of Endgame, I mean, I think this was just sort of a precursor to the show, but kind of an inevitability, it for the MCU. Uh,
But
and oh, go ahead.
I do, Mark, want to talk to you about just one thing that was a comment made, I believe, during the episode that just was so off the. It was just like matter of factly thrown in that I don't think anyone caught it.
I think they're on mute, or are you on mute?
Okay.
What was it?
They're muted. When they're talking about Steve and someone offhandedly says, "Isn't he on the moon?"
Yeah.
That was like, wait a second.
Well, that was a reference to like a sort of an internet theory that was going around.
wait,
It was referenced at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
So but whether or not they play into that, but I watched some sort of like recap videos on the last episode, and they had a couple of times where it was like jokingly said within that first season, but it was like a conspiracy theory type, deal, like
I'm gonna go
in
back
that
and
first.
first one.
Yeah. So, but okay, we're done. You can unmute. All right. Um. So past that, let's see, Miss Jen. You like going to the movies? Do you like going to the movies enough to see all the Fast and Furious once a week until the new one comes out?
I mean, okay, so I'm late to the Fast and Furious movie franchise. I think I've seen the last couple, but I didn't see any of the early ones. So yeah, I'd like to go back and watch them on the big screen where they're probably cooler.
yeah, I've
Uh,
only watched the Tokyo Drift, so I've missed what 8 other ones so far.
Yeah.
so Universal's doing something kind of cool. Not that I would partake. I don't think I could handle what 9 of them or how many ever there are. But they're doing Fast Fridays starting this Friday, April 30th. Uh, Free screenings. of every Fast and the Furious, starting with one this week and then every Friday the next one.
For free, I could subject myself to it.
It's free. If you go to fastfridayscreenings.com, you can claim your tickets and all the info's there, and it's in like they said I think like 500 theaters across the U.S. So
This would be interesting to see because we count how well a movie does by the dollar it makes, but now by ticket sales. And I'd
yeah,
like to see how this does based on ticket sales itself. Will it outperform the other movies? That'd be very interesting to see because if you think about it, that's more of a realistic number than the dollar amount the movie actually brings in.
Mm-hmm.
and you also wonder about what the compensation to the theaters is going to be, or more so the cost of bringing those, because um, I think most people will go to a free movie rather than pay for a movie. So let's say, for example, if a Cinemark had 8 screens and they put it in all 8, you might be able to sell that out on a Friday, even now, because people are going back to the movie.
And I think that's what the theaters are looking for. Is they're looking for the people to walk through the door because we all know they made their money on the concessions more than they do on the tickets. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what the theaters are looking for. They'd be happy to do, especially right now, to get the free walk-in traffic.
Yeah, get people back into the habit.
Yep.
All right, I'm back out. The closest theater doing this to me is an hour away, and I'm not driving in 2 hours to see the Fast and the Furious.
But you can like drift most of the way there.
Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, I mean,
The Fast and the Forgettable.
Oh no.
And
I I will say this. I was in until Paul Walker passed away.
well,
The post Paul Walker movies have just done nothing but sour me on the whole franchise. Including the last one where it's, hey, let's get all of The Rock's family a SAG card.
I love that part.
so, did I ever tell you guys Paul Walker passed away like 200 to 300 yards away from my office?
What?
oh,
Yep. Yeah, I remember driving back. It was Monday where I was going to the office, and the entire road was blocked. I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" Of course, we find out that's where he had passed away. Yeah, so I drive that road every day. The same road that he drove, I drive it every single day. And I can see why 100 miles per hour, because I'm usually driving at speeding on it. I'm usually driving at 50, 60 miles, and I'm like, man, if they were doing 100 on there, I can see how that happened.
yeah. Which I'm trying to remember what was the first one after his death. Was it 4?
5 or 6.
Okay, is
Hey,
that 5? Okay. Well, it's become one of these, unstoppable juggernauts in the box office. So not only will it be interesting to see how many people are dedicated enough to do this every Friday for 9 weeks, but then when the movie finally comes out and you can still stream it, if you have HBO Max for free, then it'll be really interesting to see what the box office is like for that when that happens.
Yeah.
you can't argue with the success of it, but like I said, for me, it was the the first four, which all had Paul Walker, were really strong, and I really enjoyed them. And then afterwards, it's just like, no. It turned into the days of our cars. It's a soap opera.
I mean, I think it was probably always that, but
Sure,
with,
Paul Walker and Vin Diesel had great chemistry, and then in the second one, it was Paul Walker and Too Fast, Too Furious. Tyrese,
Oh, so
and
I've seen
then
2 then.
you know, the first several were really good, and then it just kind of got iffy. But I still go see the stupid things.
yeah. I mean, they were being chased by a nuclear submarine in the last one, right? So
Right. I mean, it's like if they make a Die Hard, I'll go and see it. I'll hate myself for going to see it, but I'll go and see it. Because once you've seen the first two,
what's the point?
you know, you got to see them all.
No.
Especially when they start changing the name to It's a Good Day to Die Hard and,
Yeah.
Live Free or Die Hard.
Or the Die Hard battery commercial. That was my favorite.
So great.
It was probably actually, 1, 2, and then the Die Hard commercial for it. That's basically the ranking of the films, I would say. Um, so yeah, Fast Fridays starts April 30th. Kyle will not be attending, but that's fine. I don't honestly think if I could walk to a theater, I would go see it.
Well,
But
are they showing it on Peacock as well in the same format?
I don't.
Universal has Peacock, right?
No, I
No,
mean
it's
it would.
AMC Theaters is doing it.
It's just AMC.
Yes, if you go to that website, it's just AMC Theaters.
Okay.
It's
Um,
how Cinemark does the Avengers thing, right? Like, it's a single chain that partners.
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing like the crazy marathon, like the Harry Potter 24-hour marathon, or back when there weren't 19 Marvel movies, a 24-hour marathon. Now it would take a few days.
I
But
did I did one of those Marvel marathons when Avengers came out. And it was Iron Man, it was Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, um, Iron Man 2, whatever. Like, it was all of them. It was painful. Like, sitting in a theater that long, like, takes a toll on your body.
yeah,
And this was in those days when at Cinemark movie theaters, you could buy a large popcorn and a large pop and get free refills for as many times as you wanted. So once you've eaten 6 pounds of popcorn and drank 7 gallons of Coke Zero, like you don't want to be in the movie theater anymore.
Well,
no.
yeah, because you have to
So
drive to the
that's when
hospital
you
for
get to
kidney stones.
Thor.
Did you even have to sit through Thor: The Dark World?
No, this was before Thor: Dark World.
Okay, well, there's
It was
that's
only the one Thor.
yeah. But those were all good then. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the movie was great except for Thor. And then, which the only problem and this is the only reason I say Thor wasn't great in that viewing, is the first time I saw Thor, I saw it in IMAX. And there's something special about that movie in IMAX.
yeah,
So like nothing can live up to it after that.
right.
Mhm.
But so I have a couple of things that are interesting to me.
Good. Let me do one more real quick thing because I
Okay.
thought this was super cool. It has to do with theaters and people not being able to go to them. There was a theater in Oregon. It's the Portland's Clinton Street Theater, and they had a streak of Rocky Horror Picture Show every Friday night for 43 years going, right? So it was shut down for the last 54 weeks. One of their employees, Nathan Williams, wanted to keep the streak alive. And he's been going through the pandemic by himself, with maybe bring a friend every once in a while through ice storms up there. And he kept this thing going for the last 54 weeks.
That is awesome.
Give
That's
give
dedication.
that person the Congressional Medal of Freedom.
I'm telling you. Yeah, like if you've ever been to a Rocky Horror Picture Show, midnight showing, you know how like important that is to people. And yeah, like I said, 40 plus years he kept that alive. All right, Kyle, go ahead.
Well, ironically, tied to that, I'm Eddie X in the Shadowcast here in town for when they do those things.
Really? Okay.
So I dress up like Meatloaf and go out and sing the song and then can't talk for 2 days, but it's worth it. So no, this I was talking to Jen and Brainy about it. Christina Ricci is going to play Morticia Adams in an Adams Family spin-off show for Netflix. I think like best casting ever.
Now, is this the Wednesday Adams show? or is this a different one?
Is there
The upcoming Wednesday actor Christina Ricci will play Morticia on Tim Burton's upcoming Addams Family spin-off TV show for Netflix.
Yes, that's the one that's going to center around Wednesday. I believe.
Although it says that she is playing Morticia and not Wednesday.
Right. I
Right.
just wanted to make sure that was the same show. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, she can't play Wednesday anymore.
No.
So getting Wednesday to play Morticia is perfect.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
And then in reading that article, I clicked on something and I had to share it. That Moira and Johnny from Schitt's Creek are this generation's Morticia and Gomez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a great show. If you haven't seen that show, just binge that show. What a feel good show.
I stopped after.
Yeah.
I stopped after season 3, I believe.
Oh.
It lost me, and I just couldn't get back into it. Yeah, I think they took a break that was too long for me, and I just could not get back into it.
Yeah. At least you tried. I mean, I
enjoyed the first 3 seasons. I just could not get back into it afterwards.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. So, oh well. C'est la vie. But speaking of returning shows, Mythic Quest, they just had a new episode, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if you guys have watched that yet. It's on Apple.
What is it?
Mythic Quest. It's on Apple.
Oh, I just got my free year of Apple TV because I bought the iPhone or whatever, so I get a free year of Apple TV.
Yep.
And I'm waiting with bated breath to start Ted Lasso.
Oh, you've got to watch that. That and Mythic Quest. Those are the 2 shows you definitely got to watch on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
There is a tearjerker moment in Ted Lasso, so be ready for that. Maybe not for you, Kyle. I don't know if you have emotions anymore.
I have 2 emotions: awake and asleep.
Brainy, the thing about Mythic Quest, the bottle episode ruined that show for me because the bottle episode was absolute television perfection, and I couldn't get past it.
Really?
It just dropped it after that, and I'm like, I cared way more about those 2 actors and that storyline, like, than I did the rest of the show. But I will say that kudos for them to having the courage to do a just completely out of the blue bottle episode midway through the first season. I mean, it was awesome, but I just wish, like, I want more of that.
That episode than the Community bottle episode?
It was good. It was. I mean, like, it's up there for me. It's up there with The Constant from Lost and Fly from Breaking Bad. I mean, it's up there. It's good.
All right.
And International Assassin from The Leftovers. Oh, man. What a show. What an episode of television right there.
I found a cool new show. I think it's not actually new, right? It's new to me. Maybe all of you guys have already seen it. It's like an anthology show on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots.
That's crazy. That show is nuts.
So good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That show is a little bit out there, for sure.
My favorite one so far, I mean, I'm only maybe 8 in or something, but is the one where they find the lost society in their refrigerator.
Yeah.
Speaking of robots, if you guys have not watched it, I think it was Better Than You or Better Than Me on Netflix. That is a very interesting. Let me figure out. I think it was Better Than You. Sorry, looking it up just to find out. Better Than Us. Yeah, it is in Russian, so you will have to watch it in subtitles. But man, that was a very good show.
What's it about?
Without spoiling it, it's a futuristic show where they have robots that basically, they're designed to obey and do all the works and everything, with the exception of one, and the story revolves around her, where it's an old story where hey, I'm a robot, but I'm the Johnny Five story basically. Hey,
Sure.
I'm alive, and they did a very good, cool concept behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good. It kept my interest. I'm like, man, I can't let this go. I was staying up at midnight at night just to keep it out, keep watching it. So it's worth a while. Watch.
I also watched Stowaway, which is a very going into space sci-fi film where they take off to Mars and realize there's some stuff that goes wrong during the takeoff, but they can't really figure it out. There's some kind of an anomaly that's going on, but they make it into space and start their voyage, their 2-year voyage to Mars. And all of a sudden realize that there's I guess, a guy who's been working on the ship up to the last minute had fallen and injured himself and knocked himself out. And so he was inside the ship when they took off. So it creates this big problem for them in that they don't have enough food or now oxygen, because it also broke something in the ship that they need to process and buffer their air. It's this whole idea like one man's got to die.
You gotta watch that. It's called Stowaway.
There's an yes. I it's on my list. There's an anthology series on HBO called Generation Hustle that will make you hate people my age. But I think it's a really great look at fame culture and young entrepreneurship, especially in this kind of gig economy type world that we live in. So it's an interesting look, but again, it'll make you feel really bad about the future.
So like
Entire society with
Mirror base.
about making content for your personal page and stuff. I went to walk around the outside mall on, I don't know, Saturday, I think, during my lunch break. And there was, can't even tell you how many people there were. There was like two people, one person with a camera or a phone camera and one without. They were just like lining up in front of cool Insta opportunities.
I went to dinner Friday night and we sat on the patio at this restaurant that overlooks downtown Toledo and played Do It for the Gram. And it was when people went to walk out the patio, were they going to stop and take a picture with the sun setting behind downtown Toledo for the Insta?
Yep.
It was but I had one of the greatest moments, like most joy. There must have been someone having a prom or something Friday night, because there are a bunch of well-dressed teenagers there, and they go out to like take a big group photo. And next door to the place I was eating is a Hamburger Mary's, which I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of Hamburger Mary's, but there are many drag performers there. They perform in drag at this restaurant every night, and a bunch of drag queens come down and start photobombing these prom pictures. And the girls realize it. The guys seem upset. The girls realize it, and now like the drag queens are teaching the girls like how to walk in heels and like all this stuff. And I'm just, these two young kids are like, "Can I get a picture with the pretty?" And they didn't know what to call. And like, but they were so excited to take their pictures with these performers. It was so fun.
See, that feels like an experience you'll always be able to remember. It's not just like the mundane, we took some pictures and went home. I was like, how are you going to forget that in your life? That's amazing.
Right. Right. The time that the drag queens, crashed your prom pics.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is, they have it on pictures. That's going to stay with them forever.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I try to tell people that I meet, like I feel now like I'm old enough to be like put the wisdom in the room kind of thing. It's like when you think back on your life for those big important moments, like when you got engaged or when you had prom or got married or those things, you're never going to remember the things that went the way it was supposed to go. They just don't stick in your brain. The stuff that went a little bit wrong or was really dumb, like the fact that my pastor called my husband to be the wrong name for the whole called it by his middle name, which was hilarious. So my dad's sitting in the front row going, he was like, you were bringing together Jennifer and David. And my dad's going, Michael. The whole ceremony. See? I will always remember that. But if it all went off without a hitch, I wouldn't remember a thing.
Right.
I'm trying to think if I have any of those memories.
Well, you're too old to remember them, Kyle. How old are you? You know,
Right, I'm
like
in my mid-90s at this point.
Yeah, anyway, where else are we headed?
Ooh.
The only other TV news I saw was that, and Jen brought it up too, that they officially have cast Paper Girls.
And to my eye, it's all completely unknowns. I don't recognize any of those faces.
That's a good move. I think that's a good move to go unknowns on that show, because it, you know, assuming you guys have all read at least the first issue, it's a very interesting take. So it's better to have unknowns on that.
Well, I mean, some of them have good credits.
Sure.
But I don't think they were ever leads on those credits. Which is good.
Yeah, exactly. So they've got experience, but they're not that well known that we're, bless you, that we're comparing them to their, Oscar-winning shows or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, the one girl is listed as having been on Law and Order SVU, but she was on 2 episodes of Law and Order SVU. I know random pizza delivery men in New York who have done more episodes of Law and Order SVU.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just walk through the scenes at this point. So, yeah, I think it's a good move to have relative unknowns, but maybe that have shown their chops and gotten on some bigger shows.
Yep, agreed.
There was some news that dropped sometime this afternoon. I don't even know if anyone picked it up. It was kind of like it went out there and I didn't hear any buzz. So maybe tomorrow people will figure it out. But Scout announced that Once Our Land has officially been picked up and who's doing the development, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It had been for a long time, but they actually named the studio and that kind of stuff.
And I think they also announced that Something Is Killing is in development as well.
Of course, the thing none of us have a copy of.
Yeah, I mean, none of us expected that.
And then, Miss Jen, as you pointed out earlier too, the John Wick spinoff, there was a little bit more information on that, the Continental TV series. It's going to be based around Winston, who's Ian McShane's character, but Ian McShane will not be playing Winston. So it's going to be way in the past prequel about his kind of rise to power and the mystery behind the Continental. He may still be involved as voiceovers and narration, stuff like that. And then in TV news, no one cares about. Showtime released the Dexter teaser. Maybe someone cares, but I just thought that gone and buried, but it's back. Dexter, a limited series, that's what it's called, and it's just a 10-second teaser, and it's Dexter, Michael C. Hall saying, "Time to get back to nature, my nature." Okay. I mean, if it's good, I'll watch it, but did anyone ask for this?
Maybe because of the popularity of true crime, they're thinking people want to have real crime.
Maybe.
And maybe. I think Showtime's just trying to be relevant again. What was the last show they had that was actually a big hit? Dexter. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out.
Penny Dreadful for season 1? I don't know.
Was that Showtime? Was Penny Dreadful Showtime?
I thought so.
I thought that was AMC. I could be wrong.
I thought Penny Dreadful was just Netflix.
Well, now. Yeah.
I didn't discover it till it was on Netflix, so.
You're too young to remember this, but there used to be a network that was rival to HBO called Showtime.
Yep.
You have to.
I have a finger I would like you to look at.
Well, you were the one making jokes about not knowing, you're too young to know what City Slickers.
Hold on. City Slickers.
You have to wonder whether Showtime and HBO can survive another 10 years. If you think about, well, HBO since 18.
HBO will, yeah.
Yeah, because they've combined it with everything else. But I'm not sure, or what was it, Max as well? It was Showtime, Max, or Cinemax and HBO. I don't know how they're going to survive with all the streaming services just battling out against each other.
They're packaging them together now. When you buy cable.
Well, they've always packaged them. That's.
Well, no, it's like so like if we were to add them back onto our AT&T TV, we could get just the slices we want. So we could just HBO Kids, we could get just HBO Signature, we could get just, as opposed to having all of them, having to buy all of that.
So basically,
we liked Action Max, the Cinemax, the action movies. So that we could get just that one, and that's how they're going to survive, is by breaking up that kind of forced subscription model.
Oh, no worries. Be with us, and we'll drive them.
Also, just so you know, when City Slickers came out, I was 3.
Okay, that's fine.
City Slickers was not made in the 1700s.
I am too young to be making City Slickers references.
No, not for someone who's into popular culture or not.
Right,
That's
exactly.
fair.
Different. Anything else? Any final words?
I don't know. We got Berserker 2 finally tomorrow. So excited.
With the announcement of hidden variants.
What? I didn't order enough then. Daggum.
Wait,
They're about 1 in 20.
did they mention which cover has a hidden variance?
The A. Hold on, let me click on the thing here. Hold on.
Because we also have the problem of people are going to want to come in for number 2 to go with their number 1 to get their foil cover with a little insert so they can get their sketch number 1 8th print, which will be even more important now since they made that announcement. Dadgummit. What? I should have ordered 1 billion of them. Why? Curse me.
You order enough for
Print for real? Is it up to 8th print?
that something is killing a children's up to 8th print.
Hmm?
And that's
So,
free.
Berserker 2, covered by Rafael Grampa, will arrive in stores with the product on sale of April 28th with a surprise intermix of 3 covers that includes 2 1 in 20 black and white surprise variants, one with the red stripe that's featured on the A cover, and one without.
My poor staff.
Featured in today's Diamond Daily.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry, I was live all day. I didn't get to read that.
Yeah, I was actually doing stuff today.
I only read about it because people complained on the internet.
Oh.
Mm.
Why are they complaining?
It means we're going to sell it all.
They're complaining because they didn't know, and they wish they would have ordered more copies.
That's
Okay, wait a minute. Did
Like-
Boom not say to us, you need to order 1 billion copies of number 2? Didn't they tell us that it was tied to something super important? Come on.
The people who are complaining are kind of doing that. This is the best, worst problem to have.
Mhm.
Like, we're super grateful for these copies, but we wish you would have just told us that you were going to do a secret cover.
Well, then defeats the purpose of a secret cover. I mean,
Hey, Brainy. The thing I know about comic book retailers is that if you give them $100, they're going to bitch at you that you didn't give it to them in 20s.
yeah, exactly, and it's frustrating to listen to some of these retailers nowadays, man. It's just stupid. God,
is printing money for you. Say thank you.
Right, exactly.
It was the
I'm
same
like,
thing.
okay. If I almost said to the one guy, if you want to send me all your copies of Berserker #2, I will sell them for you.
Right. I can't believe they were complaining about Batman Fortnite, and it was ridiculous. DC did everything they could to make sure you stocked enough of it as you could, without basically saying, "Hey, this is going to be advertised everywhere else." I don't understand why people are complaining. What's their name? Boom said the same thing about Berserker 2. Look, we're adding this book to it. Order enough. They made it returnable, so you had no excuse to not order enough. I don't like the fact, and I agree with Jen. Hey, now that there's a secret ring, I should have ordered. I wish I had ordered more, but I'm not here complaining that Boom didn't tell us. It's one of those things. But I'm kind of glad that they did do this, because that means there's going to have more people walking through the door looking for those.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
it's so tough for the publishers, right? Because they can believe in their hearts that a book is going to be the book that everyone needs, right? They can know, okay, we're going to do the first appearance of a something. And if they tell us all, you should buy $1 billion of this book because that's the first appearance of something, but the rest of the world ends up not caring about the first appearance of this character, then we hate their guts. If they tell us strongly enough that there's something that might be cool, and not say you need 20 billion of them, but you should order a couple more, then we still get mad at them. They really cannot win.
No.
That is a problem with our industry. It has nothing to do with publishers. And look at the book industry. They're selling tons of books that a lot of retailers comic book retailers don't carry. And that's what publishers are looking at. It's like, hey, how is that happening? And that's just the way our comic book industry model is. We are afraid to order a lot of books because we think we're going to be stuck with them, even when there's returnability that was offered a lot last year. And it's just surprising the way we are so stuck on the traditional way of thinking. Unfortunately, some of us are, at least, not all of us.
I have my pick for in the next 6 months, which one that's going to be printing money. It's a little book going to come out of Source Point called Good Boy.
You think so?
Yes, I think so.
We're not partial or anything, but yeah.
No, we're not. But I mean, it's a spoof of John Wick, starring a dog, and Dr. Christine Blanche has her fingers in it. And Garrett Gunn. Could it be any more better than that?
No.
We should have a store variant of that, Jen.
Let's do it. Something crazy.
I think we have to work out the details on it, but that a certain little television broadcast conglomerate is going to have their own variant of it.
Lovely.
I've been having conversations about it.
Okay, good.
But we gotta, maybe get that approved and pay for it somehow.
I have cash.
We should we should do a cover where the dog gets a phone call about his human being kidnapped.
The variant I'm working on is Rolf from the Muppets.
Okay.
Doing the whole kind of, wet-haired John Wick pose. But rather than that he's got a violin case, so it's a Tommy gun, like Rolf from the Muppets. But in comic book news, 2 books to watch out for this week. Just throwing this against the wall. 20 Fists from Source Point.
Mm-hmm.
Jen got to talk to Frankie White today.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch it because I was otherwise disposed, so I will watch it later. But I'm sure it was a great interview.
I thought it was good. I also got to talk to fun because Shadow Man.
But the other one I want to put on everybody's radar is it's Paul Cornell written, the Modern Frankenstein from Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
discover the next thing in horror from award-winning writer in television and comics Paul Cornell, who wrote Doctor Who and Wolverine, and acclaimed artist-writer Emma Vicelli, who did Doctor Who and Life is Strange, along with color artist Pippa Boland and letterer Simon Boland. Elizabeth Cleave is a brilliant young medical student attracted to the whiplash charismatic surgeon James Frankenstein, who wants to further medical science by all means necessary. So, how far is Elizabeth prepared to go? A twisted horror romance that walks a fine line between attraction and fear.
All the heavy metal stuff's been really good that they've been rolling out.
I said this online the other day to somebody that Behemoth Comics and heavy metal are on absolute fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot miss.
Same thing can be said about Volt, Aftershock, and Mad Cave, Source Point, Volt. I already said Volt, didn't I? There's about 7 or 8 publishers that are just releasing hit after hit. Black Mask is back with their Black Mask did really well a few years back before. I guess I don't know if we can say the reason why they didn't produce for a while, but they're back with some good stuff as well. So that's something to watch for. Not saying Marvel and DC and Image aren't putting out. Image is still putting out some good stuff as well. Same with Boom and everything. But I think the indies are doing a better job of producing better books than at least the big two are for the time being. And I think that just might be because the big two are so locked into their 10, 15 characters that they're only producing those books, wherein the indies have got an open market. They can produce whatever they want, and it's going to be good.
I will say this, that I just recently did an initial order, and I just got through doing my monthly order for Scout. I will tell you, my Scout order was half as much dollar-wise as my entire Diamond initial order. That's how much Scout's moving through.
I know my Scout numbers are up as well, but not like yours.
Have we closed the show yet? My phone died.
Oh, did it? Oh, no. We can close it now. You want to read the words?
Sure, I can read the words. Kyle left, so thanks to him. Thank you, Miss Jen. Thank you, Brainy. I'm sure whatever you talked about the last 5 minutes was awesome, so I'll go back and read that. But it sounds like Scout Comics. So thank you guys, and thank you for watching Nerd News Now, part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by the Adventure Begins Comics and Games and Space Cadets Collection. Check out their other shows on Woodlands Online, like Music Cafe, The Adventure Begins Show, Woodlands House and Home, The Best You, Between the Trees, Business Talk, and more. You can watch all these on Woodlands Online and on our partner station, KBQTHD21, over there on your television. All these shows and more on Roku right now. Search and add Woodlands Online TV to your lineup. You can listen to the podcast version of our show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. See you next time on Nerd News Now.